Slow. Nice and slow. So this piece is going to be with some dice bags that I'm going to be printing. I'm going to try to. We'll see. Bought these bags, these little bags, forever ago. Project that never quite happened. So, I figure maybe this morning the idea that struck me is that I could maybe do like a nice little print on these bags. The material looked like it might work. Take the ink pretty well. You might find out. I figure this will work. So I sketched this out about 20 minutes this morning. And transfer it on real quick. And here we have it. It's a Hekate inspired lady. So, been reading this book. It's like called, what is it called? Hekate, Hekate the Witch by Nikita Gill. And it's a bunch of poetry. So this is a book I'm reading right now. Essentially, I like rewriting these myths, these Greek myths. It's fantastic. And I got this like really beautiful version of the hardcover from Barnes and Noble of all places. And, really enjoying it. And so it's sort of top of mind. You know, really always enjoyed sort of how it was portrayed by Lino in Hellboy in the comics. So never really got a chance to do anything before with the character. A lot of my work really doesn't go in that direction, so it sort of popped in my head, and after I got the day started, I started poking around at things, and this sort of popped in my head to do. Here I could give this a shot, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, I got another fancy little print. Maybe I can put it on some postcards or something and watercolor it too. I've got these beautiful watercolor postcards. Made some new watercolors for Christmas that I've been looking forward to playing with. Maybe this for it. Yeah. It's typically how the process goes, though. It's like I'll be thinking about a thing and thinking about a thing, and then don't do a lot of sketching per se. I know a lot of folks do sketching, like sketchbooks and stuff. And really not my process. Much more about what you would call like a sketch in my head. It's very individual. My sketchbooks are filled actually with like notes than anything else. Ideas. Things that I'm interested in, or narrative ideas, things like that. Really, really, or incoherent sketches that only make sense to me. Because they're really not of anything. They're visual cues to remind me of what I was thinking about. And then if I go back to them, that sort of like mull stuff over and watch TV or walk a dog or whatever. Eventually, something sort of clicks. I start to assemble and put stuff together. And I guess I kind of sketch a little bit, or I guess sort of like assemble more than anything else. The idea starts to turn into, you know, like a little more coherent. That's like a collage activity more than sketching. I don't know how other people do it, but that's sort of this is. Oops, this will be the tricky bit. Let's see if I can get this right. It's got to imply facial features without covering too much definition at this size. Which is tricky. Sometimes I can really good. But I gotta be careful because I don't want to accidentally carve off too much. No. Wish it is doing get this little bit in here. Leave it. I think I'll come back to it maybe. Sometimes after I carve everything else off, I'll come back and clean up. That way. Let's bring in a slightly bigger piece. Oh, I love these Swiss made carving blades. Best investment I ever made for this. I used to use those plastic handle ones. This thing's stuck in comparison to this stuff. Is it worth every penny? Plus the arm and leg, but absolutely worth it. Make sure you keep it sharp. Into all sorts of trouble. Sharpen them before. Probably could be sharpened a little bit more. Yep. This piece is tight, so probably won't use a really big one. I'll stay with these 11s. These are the bags. So it's perfectly on I got like 20 or 30 of the damn things. Been sitting on them for, at this point, probably years. Remember why I'm on them. Some idea that never turned into anything. Studios filled with all sorts of odds and ends of projects that started and just didn't quite work out. Okay. Find a use for just about everything at some point. Yeah, I'm gonna use Whitey, which I haven't done a lot with yet, but I think it'd be pretty cool. Hopefully, voice this correctly. This is the first time I've been doing this. Okay, I'm going to go slightly larger with the tones for this bit here. Yeah, so let's go slightly wider. There we go. Yes. I noticed that like some folks really like to do like the wood carve kind of effect with their little blocks. Sort of like a rectangular sort of stuff, which is awesome. I find that I am just not that. Just can't quite make it work. Well, you're jealous. That skill set. A little bit more blocky. Sort of punchy fine line work. Messy, different way, I guess. Kind of similar to the way I draw, actually. There's also one of the problems with like, trying to record this stuff. It's easy when like, you get like a fixed position. If I move my sheets around, the paint and draw. Plus I'm using an easel. So this camera makes it a little easier. So I can do its positioning. Let's see. Starting to come out. Starting to appear. Again. And the older I get, the more I gotta take off my glasses to do some of this stuff work. Where's my face to then get closer to the craft? Focus is just not what it used to be. Even with the fancy lenses and stuff. Alright. It's her body, except for a little bit cleanup around the face. Let's finish up the moon, and then I'll go back to her face and see if I can do more. Decide. It's always a trick. In fact, I might pull out the big one for this once I get enough space between her and the large areas. Just don't want to risk damaging what I've done. There's nothing worse than having to redo a piece. I hate it. So frustrating. I got lucky when I did. Look, that was, I don't know, 80 pieces? Didn't have to redo any of them. Now, it doesn't mean I didn't make any mistakes, I just was able to incorporate those mistakes. Just gonna rework the carvings to use those mistakes versus having to redo them. It's just my preference. I like making mistakes in some respects. I mean, the undo button is the bane of artistic expression, which is why I'm not a big fan of digital work for myself. Other people can dig that, but really not for me. Not having that option has worked out for me pretty good. I like the constraints as well. The danger of it. a certain additional dimension to the work. I just don't think you get digital work. Like you can never fully get rid of the uncanny valley sort of component to it. Just made a mistake. Oh, I gotta figure that out. Yeah. Too perfect effects. The randomness that doesn't feel like randomness. That's not to say that there are tremendously talented works. Folks that made tremendously talent, that have tremendous talent, that have made amazing work. So there is. There are some really fantastic folks that I follow and support on Patreon and stuff like that. It's just not, it's just not my thing. It doesn't hit for me the same way, I guess. Yeah, let's pull up the big guy. Big chunks of that moon. Slowly though, because this guy, when he makes mistakes, makes big mistakes. So one of the mistakes I made was I did not probably warm this block up enough before I started carving. With being winter and all, it can have a negative effect. Fighting all these pieces off my standing desk here. Almost done. This block has got like an acrylic wash on it, which I tried to make it easier to see pencils when carving, which mostly does. I don't know. People are big fans of it. I don't think it's okay. Like, I don't know. I can work both ways, I guess. I'm stretching. Alright, let's see. I think give her a little bit of cleanup in the face. Yeah. A little bit more depth. Oh, still a fit. Hopefully, makes it a little bit clearer. Let's up the edges. Alright. I think that's just about it. There she is. We'll have to run some prints later. See how she comes out. Till next time.